Want to have a chat with Mikis in the dungeon? Apply at contact@keramitica.com.
Welcome, Marilia, to the 14th edition of Dungeon Chats, where you can ask anything you want and we can talk about anything you want, and let's have fun.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm a bit anxious, but I'll get over it.
Anxious why? I don't bite.
Yeah, I'm like, what am I gonna say? What am I gonna ask first?
Whatever you want.
That it's gonna come. Okay, so let's start. My first topic is relationships. And I want to talk about a specific pattern. It's the anxious avoidant dynamic that's very common, where it's almost like an addiction, like these two dynamics always go together, and it's like a game. What do you have to say?
Why don't you explain it so people understand what you're talking about?
Okay, so the anxious type is more clingy. It's almost like they're addicted to the other person. Like they're all like when they're together, they're euphoric. They have this really high, almost like they're on drugs. And the other person is more like reserved, and they work exactly as like a drug to each other, because like the moment the avoidant pays attention or gives some kind of love to the anxious, they have the highs and it keeps them going. Whereas the avoidant, they run away, but they still want the person to be there, but they're not fully committed. So they're kind of wishy-washy.
Don't you think that you've answered your own question? So, if you're like an emotional vampire and you constantly need something from the other person, yeah, like you're the anxious type, for example, and you constantly want to suck out of the other person's energy, automatically this other person will find moments where they will avoid. And the moment you avoid, the other person avoids, then you become more anxious and you're circling the same vicious circle. The point is, you cannot be well with somebody unless you can be well by yourself. Yeah. The trick is, if you're this kind of person, create hobbies in your life that interest you, things to do. So whenever the other person is open and available, you're right in there with them. And whenever you feel that they're avoiding, instead of taking it personally, just do something cool for yourself. Then also what happens is that both of you have things to say. One's life is not dependent on the other. Yeah. So me and Liz, we spend most of the time together. But a lot of the time I do my thing and she does her thing. While I'm doing my thing, I may have some insights or I may have watched or read something interesting. So when we're together, I can talk to her about it. And the same thing from her. The easiest way to avoid this dynamic of this vicious circle is just for the anxious one to create a beautiful life apart from the other one. Yeah. So they're not needy and needing to suck out of the other one, which causes the avoidance. Because if the avoidant person feels that they have their space, they will not be defensive, afraid to be smothered or overwhelmed or suffocated. So then they will start becoming more open because it's safe. You know, we say sometimes you give somebody a finger, then they want to take the digit, then they want to take the hand, then they want to take your arm. And that's a real fear that people have. Yeah. So if you invite people, give me what you want to give me at any given time, and I will not need to ask for more, then they will actually give you more. Naturally. Yes? Because if giving you more doesn't have the risk of you wanting even more, then they feel confident in that. They feel safe. You understand? It's a very simple dynamic.
Yeah, I understand. Um, is there though like a possibility that the anxious person doesn't feel like the avoidant is giving them safety
In which way?
from the very beginning? Like they don't have a plan, they're more like, yeah, we'll see how it goes, and I don't know if I want to be together, and that causes even more.
Is the anxious person a woman or a man? Or let's put it more broadly, because there's men with more feminine energy and women with more masculine energy. Are they more masculine or more feminine?
This is usually more feminine, from what yeah.
Okay. So if you're the feminine, you're on top of the world. The greatest drug your man has is your pleasure. You give them full pleasure when they give you things, when they give you their attention and things or whatever, or plans. And instead of complaining and pressing the red button, the complaint and the nagging and the coldness and the dissatisfaction, you're just normal. No problem. Fine. But when they do something you want, yeah, that you like, you're you show them all your pleasure, and that's a drug for any masculine person. So this way you can train masculine people to be your bitches, to be wanting to do what you want, to be excited, because we learn like dogs and cats and children and so on and so forth. Yes, through reward, but not reward and punishment. That's the wrong way to go about it. Through reward or no reward. Reward or no reward. That's a beautiful way. You never punish your partner. Yeah. So you never make them afraid and retract, because the avoidant person also has their own issues that make them do that. Maybe they've been burned in the past. Maybe they had a suffocating mother or a controlling mother or a demanding partner in the past. So basically, you can train any masculine person to be dying to do things you like.
Hmm. So you mentioned like about the past, about like a suffocating mother, or like
Yeah,
maybe a more soft father, like the too goody goody,
yeah.
who doesn't have the masculinity. How much
You
do you,
are loosening yourself up.
thank you. Okay. How much do you think that defines people's relationships, and how can they escape that?
Look, everything is choice. You have been programmed by the life you lived and your experiences, and you have a tendency to go in a particular direction, and that applies to everybody.
Hmm.
That does not mean that you cannot change this. You can change everything in your life. In shamanism, this is what we call a family curse. So let me explain this to you. Let's say that 500 years ago, your great 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 grandmother was a particularly cold person, or a particularly suffocating and anxious person. Yes?
Hmm.
Yeah. Needy.
Mm.
It doesn't matter which. So this woman, 500 years ago, she is very cold to her children. And her daughters think, well, I'm not going to do this because this has hurt me. Yeah? I'm not going to be cold. I'm going to give all my love to my children. Then you become over anxious and over smothering and over suffocating your children.
Hmm.
Your child has two options: either to do the same, take you as a model, this is the kind of mother I need to be, so she also becomes suffocating, or she goes the opposite way. She becomes cold. And this is a family curse because these two things, these two extremes, keep occurring because nobody can get out of the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're either what your parents were or the exact opposite. Yes? And both of them are extremes that can cause damage to people or make them not feel good. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And the point is that yes, we have the ability to find the middle way, to not be defined by what happened in our lives, and to actually break the family curse.
Okay.
So the same thing applies like to men. Okay, there's this man that works all the time. He's a workaholic. He doesn't have a lot of time for his children, and so on and so forth. They only see him briefly on the weekend, and so on and so forth. He loves them. He's a good father, but he's kind of like an absent father because he has this belief that he has to provide for his family or go for his career and things like that. Yeah. Then his sons can either do the same. Look, dad, he's successful. Let's go do exactly the same, or do the exact opposite. Turn, for example, that happened with the hippie revolution, where like millions of people around the world suddenly decided, oh, I'm not going to wear a suit and pay my bills and go to work every day like my dad and his dad before him did. I'm going to grow my hair long. I'm going to work occasionally. I'm going to like be soft and so on and so forth. And then their children suffer from a chaotic life where there's money problems, where there's inconsistency, where there's never a plan, they don't feel safe. They also have the choice to become exactly like their dad or to become the exact opposite. Yeah. Then again, you have to break the family curse. And this doesn't only apply to families. Yes. Let's say you started, you're a young girl and you have your first relationship and you're 16 or 17 or 15 or something like that, or 18. Then you have a very specific experience. Yeah. Let's say with a very needy man or with the opposite. Yeah. Then you may start a new pattern. So in every relationship, you have to be one of these roles and you cannot settle into just being yourself and enjoying the relationship. And again, this is something that can be broken.
How?
How? By choosing. Choosing. I gave you for the anxious person, the needy person, like a very simple example. Yeah. Fill your life with so interesting things to do, you know. Gain a hobby, do whatever, do pottery. So when your man comes home, you say, honey, I love you, but I have to finish this pottery. Suddenly a new dynamic emerges. You're not always the one that goes to like suck on the other.
Okay, so let's say I believe though that it comes from the choice of the person. Like your pattern attracts specific kind of people.
You choose specific people.
Exactly.
It's not what they're attracted to, it's what you're attracted to.
Yeah. So do you believe that if you break the curse, you can change the dynamic, or you're not interested in that anymore? What is the...
Depending what you choose. How can I guess what anybody can choose? You want to break the dynamic, you can break the dynamic. You don't want to break the dynamic, you don't break the dynamic. It's as simple as that. In life we overcomplicate things. We overcomplicate things. It's it's a natural thing that we have this propensity to not want to understand things. Mainly, you consider, yeah, whichever type you are, that the other person, let's say the man that you're involved with, is different than you. You believe that if they're not behaving like you, they love you less, or they want you less, or they're less interested in you. But this is never true. It's never true, right? Because the other person is a human being. If you take it as a given that somebody that wants to get involved with you, like romantically, they're looking for the same thing that you're looking to. They're looking for a soulmate, to live their life together, to have fun, to enjoy, and to share. Yes? But each one has their patterns. They don't want anything different than you. They just have a different pattern. And if you find a way to rearrange these patterns, yeah, in a way that everybody is more free to be whoever they want to be rather than who they have become through their experiences, their programming, their traumas, their whatever. Everybody wants the same thing. The idea that somebody wants something different than you is insane. It's total insanity because it isolates you. It makes you a different type of human than the other one. But in reality, you're not. All we are, each one of us, is a little boy and a little girl that dreams of the best. That includes your father, your mother, your friends, everybody's that. Now, life may have brought them to a place and to certain patterns and behaviors that stop them from doing what they truly want. But it doesn't mean that this is not what they truly want. So if, let's say, a man has been burned by an over needy woman and then their relationship ended really bad, yeah, they may want to fall head over heels in love with you, but because you're doing behaviors that subconsciously remind you of that bad relationship, they have a need to withdraw, which does not change the fact that they want the same thing as you. It just means that you're afraid of different things. So you're afraid that he's not going to love you enough, yeah, and he's afraid that you're going to want too much from him and you're going to suffocate him and be demanding and bitchy and stuff like that whenever he feels that he cannot conform.
Yeah.
But they're not different than you. They want the same thing. Do you disagree? I mean, this is a
No.
chat. If you
Yeah.
disagree, you can disagree
I
with me.
agree. It's so simple and it was so complicated in my head, but it's simple. It's very
Life is
simple.
very simple.
Yeah.
Everybody's a little boy and a little girl. And everybody, people come to me and they're furious at their parents. Like, teach me how to forgive my father. For what? Whatever your father did, whichever way your father behaved, he was once a little boy, he was once a young man who did not start life thinking I'm going to be a shitty father or I'm going to fail. Yeah? There's nothing to forgive. What is there to forgive? What is there to forgive with a partner that started like you, wanting to fall in love with you and have like a beautiful relationship, and then it didn't work out? Do you think they wanted it? Do you think they wasted the time to have like a fuck up at the end of everybody hating the other one? Nobody wants that. It happened that way for various reasons, yeah? And now they have this burn and they're afraid of it, and that influences their behavior. That's all. It's not people that started out, you know what, I want to have a relationship with Marilia, she's great, she's beautiful, she's this, she's that, and I'm going to fuck it up. Why do people think these stupid ideas? that other people are different than them. We're all human and we all want exactly the same things. But we also all have our fears. So
Yeah.
make sure you don't cause specific fears in your partner. Yeah. Train them like dogs. Then ride them like a horse and you have everything that you want.
So you believe men want to be manipulated?
Absolutely. Like I'm a very masculine person, very decisive, and I manage things and I control things and so on. And if somebody wants to confront me, I've taught myself because I'm a street guy, I had to fight through my life. I've taught myself to always win, and if I need to pulverize them, I will. Yeah. But if somebody wants to manipulate me the nice way, yes, if they don't want to be competitive, they just want to ride me, yeah, then I'm having fun. I don't feel threatened.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, so I want to ask, so like sex is something that is very easy nowadays, especially with the dating apps and with the liberation, women are more free than ever. There's not much. It's like a cool thing, sex.
But people don't have good sex. Most importantly, people don't have great sex. And I meet a lot of young people who they say, oh, we have sex once a week or once every 2 weeks or things like that. Young people, yeah. I'm half dead and I have sex every other day because they eventually find sex boring because there's no polarity. Sex has become too casual and too sanitized and too non-impulsive. Today they talk about consent. Okay, so we're out on a date and they say, Marilia, do you mind if I kiss you? Yeah. Then that's the most unsexy thing in the world because in all the movies that I grew up with, the most beautiful moment is when they grab each other and they kiss and
Yeah.
they don't need a written consent. Yeah.
Yeah.
The consent is in the symbolism and in the energy of the moment, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. But if you're in the energy and you're looking at each other's eyes and you're there and you're kind of like touching hands and being in that place and everything, and then he says, are you okay if I kiss you? Is that all right? Okay. I better fuck a donkey than you.
Yeah. So, what do you think men get out of casual sex with different women? Why do they want that?
Because of the trophy. Because they don't want to feel inferior to other men. Because of a certain attitude that somehow this gives them value. They are enormously stupid. Yeah. So we had a guy in the workshop that you participated recently that had exactly this idea in his mind because a friend of his that he admires has this idea in his mind. And my answer was very simple. Yeah. It takes a little bit of time to learn what the other person likes and for them to learn what you like and to actually, it's like dancing, to be able to dance together in a beautiful dance. Yeah. Why would I spend the time to learn a person and to learn a person's body, yeah, and have them learn mine, to then go back to kindergarten and get a different woman. That is insane. That's insane. Me and my woman, we are like university level because I'm half dead and I can give my woman several orgasms and she knows how to play me like a fiddle. And although I'm old and I have heart problems and things like that, she can get me like crazy. Yeah. Why would I ever choose to go back to kindergarten to somebody who knows nothing? That is stupid. That is like a societal thing, and it's part of this culture of the casual sex. And that's where sex loses its magic because it can be magical. It can be amazingly magical.
But that doesn't come only now. Like for men specifically, it's always like known that even Zeus in like ancient, like from the gods,
Look,
he had many.
it's also a biological imperative. Let's make this very simple. Yes, women, they have a finite amount of eggs when they're born. Yeah, as many eggs as you have in your ovaries, that's the ones you have. Every month, one ovary releases an egg, okay? And the years pass. Many months, many years, yes? Since you first come to sexual maturity, let's call it 12, 13, 11, something like that. Eventually, the eggs run out, and then you go into menopause. And you go to menopause between like 45 and 55, let's call it, yeah? Depending on the woman. Some women earlier, some women later. Yeah. Your reproductive capacity has ended. So for you, each egg is valuable subconsciously. You want the best man to fertilize that egg, even if you're in protection and you're not going to have a baby, your subconscious brain, your body still feels like that.
Mm-hmm.
Men ejaculate hundreds of thousands of sperms every time they come. When they're young, they can come several times a day. But either way, until they die, they have active sperm. The biological imperative is for survival, for procreation. They should impregnate as many women as possible.
Mm.
Right? Now, this is a biological imperative. Now, we live in a society, since when the pill was invented and other methods of contraception, like the tea and all this kind of stuff, where for the first time in history, in the 20th century, before the 20th century, it was like impossible to not have a child if you were having sex. There were methods like cleaning themselves, putting acid, or using like goat skin condoms and things like that, but their success rate was very low. Yeah. So now that we have a different societal structure because we can control where we're having babies or not, the same biological imperatives exist, yeah, but not the same cultural imperatives. So if you lived 50 years ago, I don't tell you much longer, yes? If you had sex before marriage, you were a slut. If you had sex with different men, you were a slut. Yeah? You were not marriage material, you were not reproductive material. Whereas for men, this doesn't apply.
Mm.
The point is, what serves you? See, now sex is not only for having fun, but also getting like a spiritual and energetic connection. Yeah. It serves you to choose a partner that wants to grow with you in this respect
Mm.
and experiment with sex and play with the energies. And then in your fantasy, you can be fucking as many men or women as you like. Nothing restricts your internal world. You can be sleeping with one person, and in your mind, you can be sleeping with 1,000. It doesn't make a difference. You're still sleeping and interacting with the same person. It's not a betrayal. It
Mm.
is a way to keep your sex life alive forever. I remember my uncle said one time, and I remember this. He said, how things have changed. Because after all these years with my wife, yeah, whether I grab her leg or mine is the same thing. And that struck me. Yeah. He had gone to a point where not only was he acknowledging that whether he touched his woman's thigh or his, it was the same thing, but it was kind of like a thing that was supposed to be normal, something that has to happen. This idea that if you're with the same person, you're going to get used to it and there's not going to be any polarity. But if you keep the polarity going continuously, you can be like 80 years old and still be turned on by your 80-year-old wife who was a ripe young girl when you fell in love with her. You can still be in love with her. You can still be crazy about her. She can still turn you on.
Mm. Yeah. I don't see how the thing that you said about in your fantasy you can sleep with 100 people is not betrayal.
Why?
Because you're not present on the moment with your partner.
You're
You're
absolutely present in the moment with your partner. You're inside them or they're inside you. You're touching them and they're touching you. Yeah. And you enhance your fantasy world. Why is that a betrayal?
because do you see them? Like you don't connect with them. You are
You
somewhere
connect,
else.
no, you connect with the energy that's there at the moment and you translate it into a fantasy.
Hmm. Okay. And what do you
Okay,
think?
you're not convinced. Let's discuss this. Why is it a betrayal?
Because when I'm with a man, I want him to think only of me. I would die with the idea that they're thinking of other women while he's.
Why? Why?
Because I want to be the only one.
You are the only one.
It
I'm
feels
with
like
my
I'm.
wife now 11, almost 12 years. Not only have I not been with another woman, neither she with another man, but it hasn't even crossed my mind. I do see beautiful and desirable women. I'm not blind. Yeah, I can be attracted by a person that I see, but it doesn't even enter my mind to actually do something about it. Yeah, but if I can live, okay, how would it be like if I was fucking her and I'm still fucking my wife? Yes, I get rid of this kind of like desire for anything else. I'm still with my wife. Yeah, we're closer than ever. The two of us would never dream of being with another person, yet we both fantasize whatever we want. Why is it a betrayal? Explain it to me.
The thing that
Are you
comes.
the thought police? Is
What do
there a
you mean?
well, I don't know, according to law, you're convicted not if you think maybe I should steal this, but if you actually do it. Are you implementing thought police where when people think of doing something then they're punished?
Well, what comes to me is that I'm not good enough, and that's why you're thinking about other women.
He's chosen you. Why are you not good enough? Why do you have this need? Why are you trying to go against nature? It's natural that in your life, if you choose a man and you want to live with him and be your soulmate and have a family, you may see people that you may be attracted to. What are you going to do? You're going to feel guilty, and then you're going to feel like shit, and then whatever. Yeah? Why? Why on earth? What's the problem? Actually, fantasizing about other people and be able to live your fantasies, yeah, is the best way to be able to stay faithful and create a good relationship because you're not repressed. You think it's only men who do this? Women do this. Like women tell me, I'm in love with my husband and I don't want to do anything, but yeah, I'm thinking of this guy. What can I do? Yeah, fuck him while you fucking your husband. Get it over with. End of story. Gone. Then you're present. That's when you're present. Yeah, because there's no other energies drawing you away.
Interesting.
And either way, whether you're good enough or not, does not depend on what somebody else thinks. So my question to you is, good enough for what? Good enough for what? There's a saying that says that for every spectacular, desirable woman, there is somebody who got fed up of fucking her. This person exists. Whether you're Angelina Jolie or a supermodel or whoever, somebody got fed up of fucking you and doesn't want to fuck you anymore. Does that mean you've turned from good enough to not good enough suddenly? Does your substance change according to what happens to people? Like if you've had any relationship, yeah, maybe in the beginning somebody was super crazy about you, then you started fighting and things like that, and then he wanted other women. Yeah? How does that change who you are? Are you a different person? Then before you were good enough then and you're not good enough now, what happened? Nothing. You just don't know how to keep a relationship alive. And that's because you introduce stupid things like that, or it's a betrayal. If my man thought of another woman while making love to me, then I would be devastated. But why? Why doesn't he have the right to think of fucking a black woman or a Chinese woman or a man or a horse or whatever? What difference does it make? The reality is they're making love to you. And as long as they keep wanting to do that, you're fine. What's your problem?
Yeah.
I don't know. Give me a reason and I'll agree with you. Why is it betrayal? Thought police. Basically, all that does is make people lie to you. You ask a guy, do you ever think of other women while you're making love to me? He says, no, I would never do that. And then How close are you guys if you force him to lie to you?
So
Because you will be devastated.
you think he should express it, or I should express it?
You don't need to express anything. You need to not care. There's nothing to express.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
My wife was born Catholic, yeah, and she'd had several fantasies, which could be with my face or not. Yeah. She says there is my face, but I take that with a pinch of salt. Of being fucked by a priest on the pulpit of the church. This is like a reaction to the Catholic upbringing and the Catholic school. Who am I to stop that? Makes her horny, I'm very happy. Yeah. And, when she comes 3 times in a row, yeah, should I mind fuck? Is it because I fuck her well, or is it because she has a fantasy of somebody nicer than me? Which one serves me, I wonder? It serves me that I'm a great lover and making my wife come 3 times in a row. That's what serves me. Why should I do something that doesn't serve me? Why should I believe something or care about something that doesn't serve me? Do you have any reason to do that?
No. No. Yeah, I see that.
What is betrayal? Thought police. Yeah. I was with my first wife, and my cousin came in for like a dinner party or something, and he had with him this incredible looking girl, like really incredible, like star quality. Beautiful body, blonde, blue eyes, like super, 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 super duper, like you would see in a movie, yeah? And she was incredibly stupid, yeah? I'm not going to mention her name because somebody might watch this video, but incredibly stupid. You will not believe how stupid she was. I'll tell you, this cup that I'm drinking from had like 50 IQ points above this girl. Yeah, she was kind of like bimbo-like, but very stupid. So I was looking at her and saying, "Look at this beautiful girl that is so stupid." So my ex-wife tells me, "Mikis, can I talk to you in the bedroom for a second?" So I go to the bedroom and she attacks me with nails to take my eyes out. Like, you're disgusting. You're looking at her as if she was Lukumo, if she was like a sweet, kind of like a desirable sweet. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck hit me, you know? Yeah, something spectacular comes into your eyes. Yeah, you like it aesthetically, like you like a painting, you appreciate it. Yeah. And then that person was so stupid that it was like I never met so stupid before. I think more stupid than that would be kind of like idiot that cannot even pump gas kind of level. Like she was so, but she was fine in life because she was very pretty. Everybody wanted to fuck her. Yeah. So they dined her and wined her and complimented her and that, and she lived in her stupid world. But nobody stayed with her. And my cousin, who had this like trophy like thing next to him, it lasted less than any relationship he ever had. Yeah.
But what would happen if she was not stupid and you just looked at her? Is this accepted? Because it's there. I understand
Of
that
course.
it's.
Of course, why not? Why not? Can I appreciate a nice painting?
To what extent do you think this is something that would make your partner feel bad? To what extent is it acceptable?
To the extent that I act on it in every way, to the extent that I change my behavior in any way. And if that doesn't happen, what's the problem? Now, I'm not gay by any figment of the imagination, but there are men that come to my workshops that I find very, very beautiful. I had a guy once, yeah, who actually like is a father, I think, 3 children now, and he is with the same woman that he proposed to her before because of the workshop and everything and all of that. And this guy was so handsome. He was like a better looking mix between Andy Garcia and George Clooney. That his looks magnetized me. Yeah. I wasn't wanting to fuck him or anything.
Hmm.
I was doing my job. He didn't influence me in any way, but I couldn't help myself think how handsome this guy was. Yeah.
Hmm.
Like I think my cats are super pretty. I look at them and I'm in awe sometimes. I don't want to fuck my cats.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so back to the question, what do you think of women that have this trait of like really having casual sex with random guys? Why do you think this happens? And
Because they've been brainwashed. They've been brainwashed that they don't want to belong to one person, that they have this right to explore their sexuality. Yeah. And then what happens is they end up alone.
hmm,
They fuck a lot of guys and then they end up alone
yeah.
because no one's good enough for them. They just destroy their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that. So, what would you suggest to someone that wants to break that, to break this pattern of like, what do you think should happen so they change and be like, no?
Well, if they get to feel what they truly want, yeah, then they need to understand that everybody they're gonna meet is human. So pick a person and just give them everything you got.
Hmm.
Everything you got. And life will always reward you for this.
Mm-hmm.
And if they got things you don't like, train them out of them.
Hmm.
And train them how to please you sexually and train them how. And then you have the ideal person. And things that they cannot change, you just decide not to mind, to find them cute. Everybody's gonna have something. Everybody's human like you.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's non-human.
Yeah.
And if they were, let's say that you met a man that was perfect in every regard, you would go so depressed. You cannot imagine because you would be always scared of losing them and always afraid you're not good enough and always blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Our humanity is our divinity, what makes us
Mm.
divine. That we're all human.
Mm-hmm. I see that. So what came to me now is I was very. I didn't expect like the way you manage your finances. You have left all your money to your wife, or you do that in
I've not
workshops.
left anything to my wife
Sh-
because I don't have anything. Okay. I used to have money, now I have nothing. My last financial asset burned down 2 years ago. I have nothing. But I learned a lesson several years ago. I think I said this story in your workshop where I was very anxious about money. And then my uncle asked me for the money that I had, yes, to lend him, and I gave it to him. And then just so happened my cousin
Mm.
asked me for more money on the same day. And then a friend called me and asked me, I should say to all these people or some of these people, you know what? I'm already worried as it is. I can't do it. But it actually liberated me. I felt free. I feel free that at my age I can take my stick and go out in the world and make a living. I have no doubt about that. So I'm free. It's not that I don't like material things. I like material things. But I have everything I want. Like you've been here like for a while now, yeah, and spending some time with us here in Terra Mythica, and you've observed my life. I've got everything. I've got a bunch of willing people to do whatever I need for me, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody's obliged. If he doesn't want, then somebody else will want, yeah, and if nobody wants, I'll figure it out myself. But in effect, I work when I want, I do what I want, I live the life I want, and I can generate money anytime I want,
Mm.
yeah. So, you know, if I really need money, and I don't need money outside Terra Mythica. Terra Mythica supports me because they think it worthwhile to support me because I'm useful. Yeah.
Mm.
I will think of a new workshop or a new thing or a new offering and I'll go out and sell it and I'll bring in the money for us to keep surviving. Yeah. I lived a moment in time where I was making hundreds of thousands of euros a year. Plus, I always had hundreds of thousands in the bank for years. And I had a Ferrari, and I had like an Audi Cabrio, and I had a villa with 2,000 trees, with a pool, with with a football court for my kids, with a home cinema, with anything you can imagine. And I was a bunch of nerves and full of anxiety. Now I have nothing and I have zero anxiety. I do not own a credit card. But I realized that the credit card is needed. Like you cannot reserve things without the credit card. So my wife has a credit card. Yeah. Why am I lacking something?
You're not, because I experience it and I see it. But okay, let's put it that way. How do you think a person can be happy with money? We have this saying in Greece that's "Magala karabia, magales fortunes," which means big sheeps,
How
big
can you be
worries.
happy with money?
Yes.
Yeah. Have less needs. Then the money is extra and you can enjoy it. You
Hmm.
don't own something that you can't burn.
Hmm.
It owns you. You don't own it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there was a time where I I was divorced. I had two kids. They both went to private schools. They did private lessons. They did all kinds of private lessons. I had insurance. I had all kinds of things. I had a big house. I had a gardener that would come like twice a week. I had a pool guy that would come once a week. I had a maid that would come like twice a week. You know, I had all these kind of things. So I needed a minimum of 12,000 euro a month
Hmm.
just to put the key on the door. not to breathe myself, just
Mm-hmm.
for all the obligations and all that thing that I had set up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my threshold to put the key on the door is like €500 a month, like what I can eat. I eat less than €500 a month. I'm saying what I can eat and live somewhere. Everything on top of that is a joy and an option. But deep inside me, I know that I need very little. I want a lot of things. Yeah. I want to go on a holiday with my wife. I want nice things, but I don't need them.
Hmm. Yeah, but you have built your utopia and your way of life, but out there it's different. Like most governments, like you should have a health insurance. You like education is shitty, and you should support with extra education your children. Or there are many things that are like essential, and you need they cause these needs.
Why do you think so? First of all, you started by saying, I built my utopia. Yes, I built the life that I want,
Mm.
right? Anybody can do this anywhere. Why do you think you cannot? Why do you think, for example, that your children need extra education? Like you live in Europe, there's a public, you know, school system, but then you can stimulate your children with so many things and stimulate their curiosity to learn.
Mm.
And they can be very, very knowledgeable. It doesn't cost money. Do you know what costs money? Video games that they play in 2 days, then they're bored of them. That costs
Mm-hmm.
money. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Stimulating their interest does not cost money.
Do you think money represents the value that someone have for themselves? Like, I mean, someone who is constantly broke, or they don't do well with money, it honestly is an energy and it represents something.
If you're constantly broke, yeah, you're a loser.
Hmm.
Constantly broke, you're a loser. Do you know the people that are broke? Let me tell you the people that are broke. Yeah. We had the Tierra Mythican here, yeah, a girl, that she had a lot of debts back home. A lot of debts back home. So she went back home to work and pay her debts.
Mm-hmm.
But she also bought an Apple iMac laptop, which cost 3 times more than a Windows laptop. 3 times more, because it was fancy and trendy, and the keys lit up and shit like that, and it was made of aluminium. Yeah, for which every single program is expensive because you can't steal them, because you can download programs for Windows from anywhere, you know, for free, most of them. Yeah, and she chose also to like to have blink, fancy stuff,
Hmm.
like golden watches and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. She would work, make money, and then she would find something stupid to spend it on instead of having quality of life. Quality of life is also having some reserves, a financial pillow, or ways to get it. So you can have a nice holiday, you can have this, you can have that, you can have no anxiety, yeah, either money or the capacity to make money.
Mm-hmm.
But people spend this capacity on bullshit.
Yes. But what do you think of
I
like,
don't need the best. I only need something that's good enough for the job.
mm,
I had this friend that had money and he was into stereos. His wife was into wine, she was an enologist. They had refined their taste to such a degree where he would get like 40, 50,000 euro amplifiers, 5,000 euro cables for the speakers, 15,000 euro speakers, and so on and so forth. Yeah. She could not enjoy a simple wine because she had refined her taste so much that, oh, this has a tiny bit more acidity than I would like. They cannot enjoy. I can enjoy an espresso with a little machine that is a copy of Nespresso, and it cost me 80 euro, yeah, and I buy Peruvian capsules for it that cost less than 15% of a real Nespresso one, yeah, and I enjoy my coffee, yeah, and I'm a Philistine, but there are people who an espresso is a sin for them. No, they have to have the 2,000 euro machine. I used to have one of those that grinds the coffee so that it smells right the moment it's ground, and that is precisely that. And if it's not exactly right, and they need distilled water, and they need this, and they need that, and the more they go into that, the more they deprive themselves of joy because it becomes more and more difficult.
hmm,
Yeah, it is called the law of diminishing returns. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
the more you go, the more difficult it is to get the extra 1%.
So that would mean that people that are born super rich are kind of condemned. Because, like, if they always have the best of the best, they reach a level where nothing is very, very special for them.
Who do you think are the most depressed people in this world? The people who have grown up with everything. The people who have fought and found the joy for every penny and everything, they're fine. I had a guy in my high school who was from a very, very rich family. So even before he was allowed to have a license, because his parents were connected, and even if the cops stopped him, nobody gave a fuck. They would pay everybody. He had a car, a Lancia Beta Coupe, who in 1976 was kind of like super cool car, yeah. Where very few people, even in Greece, had cars back then. And he was going around with his car, and then he got like another car, then he got a Ferrari, then he got a Lamborghini, and so on and so forth. Yeah. I don't think he ever had the joy I had when I got my first car as a student, an Austin 1800 that was 30 years old in England that I bought for 120 pounds. Yeah, that one cylinder didn't work, and the key for the ignition, you could put any key, you could put your nail in and it would still turn. Yeah. And the moment I got it, like I was so excited, it was my first car. I don't think this guy ever had my excitement.
Hmm.
Also, when I first got my first new car, years later, I started working, it was a Suzuki little Jeep SJ 410, 1000cc, but it was brand new. Yeah. I even got it cheaper because I got it as like a professional vehicle on my business. So it didn't have tax, it had less tax. And It was probably the cheapest car in the market, but it was new, and it was the color I wanted it. I had ordered it. I had such an excitement. I was so happy. Yeah. And, you know, I don't think this other person ever had my excitement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know, I see it. And I totally agree.
If you can go to the Maldives every week, the Maldives have no value.
So what
You
would
get used to everything.
yeah.
You get used to everything.
Hmm. What would you suggest to someone who has stopped feeling basically or getting excitement? How what would be a good solution for them to wake up and start?
Buy nothing for a year. The first thing you buy is going to give you the excitement from when you were a child.
So how would you suggest parents with like rich parents would should raise their children?
Never give them anything they haven't earned.
Hmm.
Make them work for it.
Yeah.
You want a bicycle? Okay, you got to be taking the garbage out. It used to be part of culture that kids do chores. Now it's called child labor. If the kids, kids, what do you talk about? Like, I had teenagers in the house that were like grown men, and they couldn't wash a dish
Hmm.
because their mama never let them wash a dish. Uh, Make them earn it, then it's worth something. Make them wait for it, then it
Yeah.
has value. Like I witnessed it with my kids. So my eldest boy, Spiro, uh, he was the first child, the first grandchild of all the families, mine and my wife's, yes. So he was like super treasured. So they would come in his birthday and they would bring, I don't know, tons of toys. But it wasn't only his birthday. They would bring toys whenever they visited. They would bring him something. Everybody would bring him something. He was also super cute. And yeah, he would not engage with any toy. He would not. He would start opening boxes, then he would be bored of one, go to the next, go to the next, go to the next, because there was another 20 boxes there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had fun when I was a kid by playing Battleship with a piece of paper with squares. Yeah, and you would put your ships in the squares that you liked, like in a chess. And I would say uh, A15, and if there was something there, you would tell me boom, and then I would try to kill all your ships. Then, when my kids were young, they had electronic battleship. So it was plastic, and it had like a thing in front of the two, and they would put the things, and then they would press buttons instead of talking, and then there would be flashes and all nice. They never enjoyed that thing, my kids, as we enjoyed just taking a piece of paper and drawing a square on and making a battleship. Never.
Hmm. Yeah. Interesting, because I when I
Do you know
was
what they enjoyed? They enjoyed because I liked making things and doing things and so on. When I told them, hey guys, come here, help me do this. Let's do this together.
hmm.
That they enjoyed more than any toy. Like I had in the basement, it was half basement, a huge screen, a projector, and a seat to play. They were playing Colin McRae rally, you know, and with vibrating wheel and, you know, and surround sound and so on. The games for the PlayStation, they cost a lot of money. You know, that's how they catch you. They sell you the PlayStation and every game is like 30, 40 euros. It's lots of money. They would go and they would play like crazy until they passed all the levels. And the moment they passed all the levels, the game had zero interesting for them. So the more difficult the game was, the better it was, the longer they would play it. An easy game, zero interest.
Mhm.
Why should life be easy? It's not fun. Life should be challenging. Things are too easy, make them difficult. Try to fail. Put on yourself challenges that you may fail. That's when life has meaning and is exciting because that's where you stretch your limits and you grow and you evolve as well, rather than always being in your comfort zone.
Mm. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so I'll stick to the money topic. And what do you think of money dynamics between a couple? Like if the woman earns more, or how does the woman act if the guy earns more? Because like in today's society, it's like split. They don't have like, most couples don't have like, unless they have children, uh, like common bank account, like the same bank account. They have separate, and they're pretty like, you know, like in Dutch culture, they're more like everything is divided by two. So it's
Everybody can do whatever they like. What I did, the moment I decide to be with a woman, whatever I have is hers. I don't care. All my, even when I had money, all my bank accounts, everything, and so on and so forth. And now, the last thing that I theoretically had was my kind of like ownership of Terra Mythica. Yeah. And I divided it among the Terra Mythicans, but gave my wife the biggest percentage. Yeah. She has like 52, 53%. But also from that percentages will go to new people that show up. Yeah. And want to stay here forever. Everybody here is a partner. I'm the only one that has nothing. Do you know why I don't need to have anything? Because as long as I'm useful to my family and my community, nothing is moving me. And if I'm no longer useful to my family and my community, I'll go and be useful somewhere else.
Hmm.
What is my problem?
So you believe that in order, when you are with someone, the best thing to do also money wise is to be
Be
one
one
with.
person.
Yes.
Be one person. That's the way that people keep apart nowadays. That's why most marriages don't last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's why most children are from divorced parents. Now, when I ask somebody, are your parents still together? It's rare that they say yes. It used to be the opposite.
But there is a lot happening. Like many women approach men for money, and many, like there are many problems. Like some women have left all their money on their husband, and then, you know, it's how,
Learn how to pick people.
yeah. So it starts there.
Learn how to pick people.
And what do you think of the dynamic of a woman having much more money than a man?
I've seen this dynamic, and there's only one way that it works. If the man has an activity that fulfills him and makes enough money to be able to live alone, so he's not dependent, then he can spend his wife's money without a problem and enjoy it. Because why shouldn't they enjoy the same lifestyle? But if he's dependent, and I've seen that happen as well, yeah, I have friends that have married into money, and then one particular friend that I have in mind, he was like in advertising, young. I'm talking 30 years back, but young and very kind of like aggressive, very aggressive industry, doing very well. But his wife had an inheritance that it was in the stock market, and she could lose or win his monthly salary in a day or even in an hour. So then after like a couple of years of that, they decided that there was no point for him to be going to that job, commuting for 1 hour to go to the work, working 10 hours and then commuting 1 hour back. Yeah. And she convinced him, he convinced himself, so he stopped working. That did not go well.
Yeah, because I think also, like, if you think about the primal instinct of a guy wanting to be the provider,
Exactly.
and then they feel no longer useful, their masculinity disappears,
Look,
or
if we're together and I can provide for you a good life, I'm good. And if you happen to inherit $100 million, that does not make me less able to provide for you because I cannot compare with $100 million. Do you understand? But the moment I stop having the capacity to feed myself and my family and my children, yeah, then I'm done. Zero self-respect, zero anything. So it's not the point about how much money one has of the two. The point is each one of the two able to survive on their own. That means I can have a fight and tell you to fuck off. And I'm not going to stop because then I'm going to lose your $100 million. Right?
yeah.
You must be able always to have the capacity, not only financially, but also emotionally and physically, to be able to say fuck off. Because if not, you will dilute your limits and the relationship is not going to go well. So when one of the two has lost the capacity to be able to say fuck off, then, it's gone. Now we have a couple here that one, the guy, he has a lot of family money, yeah, but the woman was living pretty well without him before and can survive pretty well without him now, and she can go out into the world and make herself a living at any given moment, yeah. There's no reason for her not to enjoy her husband's money and go on a nice holiday and do all these kind of things and have all these things because she knows that she doesn't need it. It's an optional bonus. And that applies both sides.
Okay, so what came to me after that is that when I said like the masculinity, if how does the macho ideology or behavior step in, and can you explain the difference between pure masculinity and the macho masculinity?
Well, there's the difference between macho and chivalry. Chivalry chivalry like being a knight, taking care of a woman and being the strong guy that protects and all of that. Yeah. Macho people are people that need to show their strength. Yes. Masculine people are people who know they have strength. And it's two different things. If I know I have strength, I don't need to prove it to you.
I find it very interesting when I observe people losing it all. Who are they naked? It's.
Where some people collapse and some people flourish. Again, it comes down to choice.
Yeah.
I'll read you a poem that is very interesting. Wait a second. Okay, it's by Rudyard Kipling, who is a famous writer. He's written The Jungle Book and things like that, Mowgli. But he's written many things. He has a poem, it's called If. And it goes like this: If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they're gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
So nice.
I think that says everything.
And that applies to everything, I think.
Absolutely.
Non-attachment.
No,
No?
you got the wrong idea about the whole poem. The opposite of non attachment. The opposite of non attachment, yes, is the no need. Of course, you attach, yeah. You lose everything and then you go and rebuild them with old tools, right? That's not non attachment, yeah. That's power.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, I have couple more.
Mhm.
One is a term used now, with all the therapy, empath. Well, who is an empath and what is an empath?
An empath, supposedly, it comes from the word passion, which means feeling in Latin, yes, is somebody who can feel other people's feelings. Yeah. And some people consider themselves or consider others natural empaths. Yeah. But I can teach you how to be an empath right now, the biggest empath there is in the world. You want to know?
Yeah.
Okay. All you need to know how a person feels, is to understand their beliefs. And then, if you wear these beliefs, say, how would I feel and what would I do if I had these beliefs that this person has? You will always 100% be spot on.
Hmm, I see. They say that children who have like unpredicted parents or who were like in an anxious environment develop this skill to survive, like as a surviving mechanism, so they could understand what's gonna happen in the environment, so they could feel safe, so they could act accordingly.
Not
That's
necessarily, there are many stimuli in life, many different ones that can help you or push you to hone some kind of skill. Yeah. Naturally, like if you can't see, your hearing will develop more. And if you can't do some things, some other things will develop more. But this is not necessarily due to parents or other things. Sometimes it's just due to choices.
mm-hmm.
It's
So
not always up to the parents. There comes a moment where you got to take the buck on yourself and not have excuse about who your parents were and what they did for who you are. You got to take responsibility of who you are and make yourself into who you are.
yeah, another common belief on this one is like empaths suffer the most because they're like they're feeling everyone, and then they have this heavy energy in them and stuff like that, and
So, since you're fresh out of a workshop, right? And you've also interacted with me in the past, right?
hmm,
Do you think that I understand and feel people?
yeah.
Do I look like sad and tortured? Do I look sad and tortured? It's a simple question. Yes or no?
No.
No? Are you sure?
Yes.
Which obviously answers your question that feeling other people does not necessarily making you miserable. Yeah. Deciding to take other people's feelings onto you, that can make you miserable if you have no control.
So how do you protect like yourself?
You don't. You make yourself transparent. Instead of trying to put armor around you, you make yourself transparent. And that which does not have receptors to attach to you just passes through and goes.
Okay, so they say many times like you go into a space and you feel this weird energy, or you're like, why am I feeling like that? And this is a real thing. Like in Greece, we have the evil eye. Like
Well, I've talked about this in my workshop, and I'm not going to talk 2 hours about this now.
okay,
That's
okay,
a fake question.
yeah,
Tell me if a question that you want the answer to,
okay,
not one that you already know the answer to.
okay. I'll think
Yeah,
about it.
that's
Then
boring.
it's my. talked about relationships, we talked about money, about sex.
Okay, she doesn't have any more questions, so she's recapitulating. What have
Yeah.
I left out? The stock market, crypto, Trump. What's there?
Uh, I think, okay, give me 1 second to think.
Okay.
Give me-
Uh,
Um, nothing else comes.
So that was a super nice dungeon chat. I think we talked about many issues that are important to people. Thank you very much, Marilia.
Thank you.
Yes, and I hope that I've delivered on answering simply enough for a 5-year-old to understand. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Want to play RPG in our dungeon? Would you like us to make you a small, medium, or huge custom-made sculpture? Or even your own castle? Contact us at contact@fantasyscaping.com.